Hello and welcome to Tech Town.
Town.
I'm Mr. Ellsberg. This is our town wizard.
Boom.
We're talking all things tech on this our very own St. Patty's Day.
That's right, our very own.
That's right. We don't just get dressed like this every day.
Well, that's what you think.
So we are talking web browsers.
That's right, web browsers, man. You may not even realize how amazing and important they are. So I'm going to try and convince you.
That's right. You use it every day to get online, on the lines. When you're online, you usually go through a web browser. So let's jump right into it.
Exactly. All right. So web browser. What's funny is some people may not even know like the term web browser anymore. I always thought that was something that people just know, but that may be something of the past because we grew up without web browsers, and now that's just what you use. So for everybody that doesn't know what a web browser is, Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Internet Explorer, Safari, Opera. If you've ever heard or seen any of these things, that's what a web browser is. And you definitely use one. If you think you don't, you're wrong. You do. Just know what it is. Please, for me, know what it is.
That's right.
Which do you use?
Well, I like to use Google Chrome now. I've used Safari, and I've used Mozilla Firefox, and Netscape.
Oh yeah, good old Netscape. We'll talk about some Netscape, but yeah, I only use Netscape anymore.
Exclusively
Yeah.
Netscape. Once all their shares got sold, I got all into Netscape. This is really the Pabst blue ribbon.
That's right. They won one blue ribbon like forever ago, and they're still riding it out.
Right.
No, so right, Chrome and Firefox and Internet Explorer and Safari, I'd say, are the main ones. And you know, if you buy a Mac computer, it'll come with Safari, so you'll probably just click on it and maybe not even know that you're using it. But it's the thing that you use when you want to type in a website.
Right.
That's the best way to think of it. Like if you want to go to www.anything.com, that's what you use a web browser for.
Right.
So what it is it's really a window into the World Wide Web. So the browser is this piece of software on your computer or your phone or whatever that's kind of this window.
Right.
And you're looking through it into the World Wide Web. And the World Wide Web isn't necessarily the same as the internet. The internet is sort of a bigger concept. The World Wide Web is one version of that, where to use the internet, we're passing around information in just this way of making like websites.
Right. So otherwise, you're just kind of looking at a wall.
Yeah.
Firewall.
Yeah.
And then you got this window, right? Yeah. There's a few different windows that you can use, right? Just like in your house.
Exactly. It's a good analogy, right? Because some windows are better at, you know, efficiency and some get it hotter or whatever. It's just like that. Some browsers are better at being faster. Some have more features. But the bottom line is they just got to get you to google.com or facebook.com or whatever these websites. They got to get you there and make it look right.
Right. So which of these windows has the best drapes?
That's a good question. We'll get to that. I'm going to reveal my pick on the best web browser.
All right.
But first, so what is it actually doing to be this window? What does it take to be a window? And what it is that it's just about standards.
Okay.
So people got together back in the 90s and agreed we're going to have this thing called the web. And all it's going to be is a form of text with these special little markings. Then a web browser needed to be invented to show those little markings in just the right way. So for example, one of the first things that the web had was links to other pages. So you were on a web page, you were on maybe somebody's good old 90s GeoCities blog or something, and it was like, hey, you know, check out this article I read, and they just go on and talk about it. You can click on a link to the article, and it takes you to this article.
Right.
That now seems obvious, like, of course. But back in the day, they had to invent that.
That was a big deal.
Yeah, to have these separate things all out there, but then now connected.
Right.
So and it was just text basically at first. Then they had some images, and you start getting a little more advanced. But all those things it's just a way of telling the web browser what to do. Right. So I want to give you a quick little example of what that stuff looks like. We've seen this before, HTML and CSS and all that. And JavaScript. So those are kind of the main, if you want to learn about the technical stuff, the main technologies there are HTML, which shows the layout of how it's supposed to look. And then there's the JavaScript, which does kind of the executing of things. It checks to see if you type in all the right things. And then there's CSS, which makes things look how they should look, whether it's these shamrocks jumping around.
Yeah. So, and right now we're using Chrome. This is Chrome.
Exactly. So you'll see up here, this is the URL. That stands for Universal Resource Locator. But the idea is that you can type something in here and something shows up in here. And what's happening is if you ever go and say view page source, this,
whoa,
exactly, this is what's going on.
We're in the matrix.
Exactly. So in here somewhere, it actually says the words Google search. So if you like do a find in here for Google space search, there it is. Okay, so somewhere in there, it does say Google search. And all the rest of this craziness, the web browser knows how to turn into the little dancing guys, this little text box. So a web browser goes from just that text to this.
Wow.
And that text is made in such a way that if you open Firefox and you go to google.com, it will also show, hopefully, the exact same thing.
Very cool.
So that's what a magic of the web browser is taking that weird text stuff and translating into what we know as web pages.
Right.
So, all right. So there we've got like the general idea of taking this text and turning it into stuff.
Right.
But that has come a long way. So I want to show you a cool page. It's called Evolution of the Web. And it's kind of like a nice, colorful little timeline of the web and web browsers and everything. So, and you can kind of scroll around. So
yeah, for explanation, websites.
Exactly. So this is the evolution of the web. We're going to explore it. It has a nice little animation.
Nice.
Kind of shows the start. But, we're going through.
Wow.
And now we're in the mid-90s.
This is some kind of sea monster right there. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. So, and all the colors mean different, introductions of different technologies.
Right.
So let's go back to the beginning real quick. Got to learn our history, where we came from. HTTP, we'll talk a little about that. That's kind of the technology underneath this. HTML1. Okay, so that was the first time this sort of standard language came out. And then there was this browser Mosaic. But quickly then Netscape got in the game, and Netscape was a big player.
Right.
So you can now see, okay, Opera, Internet Explorer, HTML2 is starting to form. And what it means when these things are happening is both the browsers are being upgraded, invented, and also that text, that standardized HTML text, that's being upgraded so that it can do new things. So you have these two sides. One is upgrading, the other's upgrading, and they kind of have to meet.
Right.
And it gets a little messy because more technologies get invented, more browsers get invented. Browsers do certain specific things that others don't, and that becomes a problem. So, and you can click on any of these, and they just talk about all the different timeline things and the different versions when different technologies were introduced.
Yeah.
So one example, drag and drop. Drag and drop wasn't supported in a browser because it was just text and links.
Right.
But eventually they thought, hey, on web pages, it'd be nice to be able to drag and drop stuff.
Yeah.
So they invented that standard, and then all the web browsers had to go and implement it.
Wow.
So you can imagine that for all sorts of things. And now, these days, there's all sorts of crazy technologies going on that all the web browsers have to support. So that's kind of the basic history. Feel free to look at more on the history side because there's plenty that led up to
That's
this
a
madness.
really cool site. I love sites like that. They kind of give you the infographic, but then it's also dynamic. You can go and click on stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. Cool. Yeah. All right. So there was, in this history, there were terms that people came up with, like Web 2.0.
Right.
About 5-10 years ago, everybody's talking about Web 2.0. And really what that was the point in this evolution where the standards were getting better to do fancier things, and the browsers were supporting them to do fancier things, like more graphical things. It wasn't just a link, it was that you could drag and drop, or that it would, instead of refreshing the whole page, it would only refresh just a little bit and load new content right then and there. So that was Web 2.0, because it's like, okay, now we can do more than just this static web page, just text or whatever. We can do all these fancy things and animation and videos. So Web 2.0, that came and went. And now we're at, I guess, Web 3.0 or Web 9.0. But the idea is the web is no longer just this set in stone thing. It's always alive. It's moving. You're getting information from everywhere. You're being tracked everywhere. So we're at, I'd say, Web whatever.0 right now.
Right. We're somewhere beyond, way, way, way beyond what's going on. Back in the day. Wow.
Yeah. Cool. So with these browsers, you can try them out. They're all good. I mean, there's not really the bad one. Internet Explorer has gotten quite a bad rap over the last bunch of years, but they've really improved. So right now, I would say if you use any of them, they're going to be good. Right. There is an argument to be made which one's the best, and that's actually changing all the time. Right. So for just a little bit, Chrome would get an upgrade and be way faster, and so people would be like, Chrome's the best. And then maybe they would do something shady or bad, and Firefox would say, oh, I'm adding this do not track feature. And oh, Firefox is cool. But then they go back and forth. So I would say right now, I'm personally using Chrome, but I also like Firefox a lot. So I would say between those two, you'll be fine.
Right.
Safari, I've got some issues with. Internet Explorer, doing pretty good. Most people give them a lot of crap. I'm saying doing pretty good, but you probably won't go wrong if you use Chrome or Firefox.
See Internet Exploder.
Exactly. Oh, man. All right, so just really quickly, what do these browsers actually do? It's taking that text and turning it into magic stuff, but there's a few parts of that process. I have links to all this, and you can go way hardcore in depth. But the bottom line is you got to take the HTML and lay it out on the screen.
Yep.
That's called a layout engine, and that takes the CSS to make sure things are centered or left or right. Then there's the JavaScript engine. So when things need to execute code and submit data or check to see if you actually entered your email address.
Right.
That's running JavaScript, so there's a JavaScript engine that knows how to deal with that. Cookies. You may have heard of cookies. So cookies, although delicious, are a very confusing topic to most people. On the web, they are a little bit of text that's stored on your computer, and that little bit of text is only readable by certain sites.
Okay.
And that's basically what a cookie is. But you can use them in interesting ways. So the fact that when you go to Facebook, it remembers who you are, maybe it logs you in, or maybe it just remembers your email address, or any site that remembers anything about you. One way that they can know who you are without you having to log in every time is they store a cookie.
Right.
So it's not necessarily a security problem in itself.
Okay.
It's just that it stores, hopefully securely, which they pretty much are.
Right.
This little bit that says, hey, you're you.
Right, exactly. And that's why you don't have to go through the process of submitting all of your personal information every time you go to a lot of the sites.
Right, you just log in once, it'll store this little thing and say, oh, you're logged in.
Right, so some of that is good.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Right. I'd say I'm more going to talk better about cookies than you've ever heard anywhere, because a lot of times they're scary. It's like, oh, are they stealing my information, or can it be hacked? Well, not really. There are problems with it, but the technology of cookies is actually really good and really useful, and we use them all the time.
Right, but something you should be aware of if you're using a public computer, or something like that, because the computers don't necessarily know all the time that you're using something in an area that is, like basically commons.
Exactly, right. On a public computer, you have these private cookies. Anybody could use them. You got to watch out.
Right.
Okay, a couple address bar tricks. So in the URL place where you type in google.com, there's all sorts of tricks you can do. I have a link to a bunch of fun tricks, but one of them is you can actually use your web browser to look at your files on your computer.
Whoa!
In case you ever want to.
I like that.
Yeah. There's tricks where you can do like auto-complete the .com part. So instead of you having to type in google.com, you can press Control-Enter, and that'll save you the time. And there's a million different tricks with the address bar. Million tricks.
That's one of the, like what you were saying, one of the really cool things about it developing is you start getting all these sweet trick shortcuts. Don't use the mouse. How about that? That's the next level stuff.
Exactly. That's a good goal. And then a big one that browsers decided to make themselves known with, I would say, is extensions and plugins. So extensions is, there's a lot of cool extensions. Some of them are not very useful, but some of them are super useful. So they'll be something that sits right in your browser, and it can intercept things and change them or help you.
Whoa.
So the idea would be, for example, LastPass. We've always talked about LastPass for saving passwords. That can be a browser extension so that it can see web pages that need you to log in, and it can help you log in by remembering your password.
Right.
So it's not, it is secure. It sounds like it's scary, right? Oh, this thing's monitoring my traffic. Well, it can be that bad.
Right.
And some of them could do that, so don't install the ones that do. But some of them are very secure and very helpful. So you go look through all the lists. We've talked about extensions before too. Right. So there's plenty of extensions that can, whether it's helping you email a web page to people or shorten the URL, plenty of extensions. And browsers have really gone pretty far with that.
Right. So we use like the calendars extension, the Google Voice extension, email extension, LastPass extension, Google Drive extension, Bitly extension.
Oh yeah.
All these extensions.
Yeah, there's plenty of extensions.
If you use a website a lot, look for the extension a lot of times. That's really helpful.
Exactly. One thing you'll notice with browsers is that sometimes they screw things up. You look at it and like the page isn't quite right.
Right.
And that's a big problem. So browsers want to show everything the same way, but through this crazy mess of history, it's been, when you write the same code, it shows one way on Chrome and different way on IE or a different way on Firefox. So there's ways around that. One thing to remember is called the user agent string. And the user agent string, every time you go to a web page, you're telling that web page what browser you're using with this user agent string, and they can theoretically detect which browser you're using and fix things for you.
Right.
But that's also kind of annoying because it should be the same for all of them.
Right.
So anyway, just know that whenever you visit a page, you're telling them, here's what browser I'm using. Hopefully it all works. Sometimes it doesn't work because they have differences between different browsers.
Right. User agent string.
Well, user agent string. Yeah, impress your friends with that one. Okay, so we talked about extensions. There's also plugins. Plugins is they're kind of going away. There's sort of the similar concept where they sit in your web browser and help you do things. But more, the plugins were historical, and now they're kind of a security problem, or they're going away. Okay. So some plugins you might recognize. Flash. Yep. If you've ever heard of Flash. So if you go to, for example, Hulu.com to watch some movies, or YouTube for the longest time up until recently was using this technology called Flash, and that was a plugin. You had to. It wasn't by default installed with your browser. You would go to YouTube and it would say, "Oh, you got to install Flash." Right. And then you would click on something. You'd say there would be a security warning and say, "Are you sure you want to install?" And you install it. Flash happened to be one of the main kind of good ones. But there are a lot of problems
Java, with that. Adobe Acrobat.
Reading PDFs, Silverlight. When you go to Netflix, you're using Silverlight. So there still are some of these plugins that are around. They're actually going away because a lot of those features are being built right into the browser. Nice. Because these plugins have notoriously been bad at security. Right. So Java,
it's annoying having to updates,
or click on stuff.
Yeah, you don't know what's good, you don't know what's not. It doesn't really differentiate because of like, you said the security issue. Yeah. Sometimes you can't tell.
Right, and it's up to this other company. Hopefully they do things right, but you're just adding one more place that things could go wrong. Right. So they're not all bad. It's just now we're kind of going this extensions route rather than plugins, and even those extensions don't have the kind of power that these plugins did. The plugins had the power to basically, be an administrator, user on your computer, and do all sorts of bad things. So, they're going away, which is nice. Toolbars, if you've ever been duped into installing something and you accidentally install a toolbar, it's like, hey, it's the new search crap toolbar. And it slows down your computer, and your parents and grandparents get them all the time. And don't install toolbars, man. They're basically
and they always put it at the end of whatever plugin that you're trying to get, where it says like you have to check a box to check out of the toolbar. And all of a sudden you got Norton antivirus. Toolbar up at
something
the top.
About Jeeves. He's on your computer.
Everything up there. Yeah, Jeeves comes back.
Yeah, he's asking a lot.
Jeeves is
so
sneaky Jeeves.
Yeah, when you install software, plugins, or any of that kind of stuff, just watch out, because if they're not the best company, they may be trying to make extra money.
Toolbar.
And the way they do it is they'll sell themselves to this toolbar company and make you install a toolbar when you install.
And all of a sudden, you can't even see the web page because you got 14 toolbars.
I don't know. Well, maybe we don't even need the web. Maybe we just need some toolbars. Oh, which toolbar did you visit today? So that was mostly, we've had like browsers for desktops and laptops, but in the last bunch of years, we now have mobile devices. We have phones and tablets and microwaves that have browsers on them, pretty much. So that's changed quite a bit. Number one, you have a different screen size. So you got to make sure when you're making a web page that it can work on those small screens. Right. So there's been a whole bunch of different attempts at that. Some of it just makes it really tiny, and then all you have to do is zoom in. Right. But some of them do try to be fancier than that and make it look different. It'll be a bigger layout, or it'll scroll vertically instead of horizontally.
They say go to the mobile version a lot of times.
And that also hopefully is changing that you even know or care. Right. Like, I shouldn't know. I go to the website and it just shows the best way that it should show. Right. So right now you still may sometimes see go to the desktop version or go to the mobile version because there's some kinks that aren't worked out, but that'll go away. Developer tools. If you really want to get in there are some amazing ways to inspect web pages. So you can go in there and you can see every little bit of HTML. You can change it. You can run your own code. It's not actually going to affect the website. It's not you're hacking it. But what happens is all that code comes to your web browser saying, here's the page I want to show you. Right. And you can then mess with it. Cool. Which is awesome. So take a look at developer tools. It's way more amazing than you'd ever expect, I promise you.
And a lot of times it's not as crazy, untouchable, something that you can't access.
Yeah, absolutely.
So get in there and play around with it.
Yeah, I just want to show you one quick version of this tool. So in Chrome, they have this developer tools, which you can get to either by pressing, I think it's F12, or right-clicking. So right-clicking, if you check, some websites actually take over your right-click, so it doesn't show you the normal menu.
Ooh.
But for example, on Google, if you right-click, let's right-click on this picture, and we say, oh, they don't let us inspect the element here? Wow, it's grayed out.
Ooh.
Usually you would say inspect element. So let's go to another website, MSN or whatever. So for most people, when you right-click, oh, yours is not having it.
Oh, no one's letting you inspect the elements.
No inspect elements.
Oh,
all right.
man.
Well, normally, I guess what you would do is you would inspect the element, and what it'll do is it'll show you the code for each little part of the page.
Try one of these, guys. Yeah, try one.
It's all grayed out. I guess, yeah, they don't like you having this for whatever version of Chrome you got. But anyway, so the idea is that you can inspect each, like this little part, it'll show you right where in the HTML that exists, and that you can change it and you can mess with it. So
you can always just go to find, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah.
Jeez, man. Not letting you inspect any of the elements.
I want to inspect elements. All right, so, and then lastly, where is this all going? What's the future of these browsers? You know, we're on Web 3.0, what's Web 5.0, whatever. First of all, Microsoft is actually renaming and coming out with a new web browser.
What?
So instead of Internet Explorer, there's going to be a new one.
Wow.
And
smart on their part.
I think so.
Yeah.
Internet Explorer has a lot of baggage. And even if it's great now, if you call it Internet Explorer or IE, people will look down upon it. So they're coming out with a new one. It's codenamed Project Spartan, and it's maybe going to be cool. So we'll see what they say. It's going to do a few nice things. I personally don't think it's going to be a whole new revolution, but it's, you know, a nice update.
Yep.
So a bigger transition is that these web browsers, they're pretty much all that people use. That's not true. Some people, you know, use apps, obviously, and but in a way, these web browsers are going to be the future. And all of those other things are being incorporated into the web browsers. So why not just have your web browser be your whole entire operating system?
Very true.
So Google decided that, and they came out with Chrome OS. So you can buy these laptops that they don't have Windows. They don't have Linux or Mac. It's just Chrome.
Yeah. And
so the web browser was so amazing and important that you can make a whole computer out of just that.
How about that? Very cool.
I think that's going to be really the future, is that the apps and the programs are all kind of going to be incorporated into the web browser. So really, that will be the only computer. We're not there yet, though.
Right. Almost.
Almost.
In some ways, in some capacity,
yeah,
we are kind of there.
So for example, this computer I've got, this is a Chrome OS machine, and so all it has is Chrome. You know, if you look at the bottom, there's little links. Like it looks like there's programs in there, but they're not. They're just web pages or extensions.
Right.
And apps. They have an app store basically within web browsers now. So that's where, you know, you imagine so many apps. Well, you can have that with a web browser too.
Yeah, and by the way, we do in fact like to watch ourselves
record
at the same time.
Look at those handsome fellas.
Yeah, we're not gonna let you guys have all the fun. All right, so that's it. That's web browser.
That's it. I mean, they are the future. I think it's really the most important and least understood technology out there.
Right.
Because it's really gonna be, I think, the future of everything you see and do with technology, but nobody really knows what a web browser is.
No.
Gosh.
And we're always looking through them to see everything.
Everything.
And it's how we access everything.
And not everything. You know, there's still apps, but it's going that way.
Isn't that nuts?
Yep.
Crazy.
All right.
Which brings us to
music side of the week. Bow, 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 bow. All right. So this week's music site is a fun music maker tool, which is in the web browser, by the way, obviously. And all this is that you're collaborating to make music with other people live by just clicking your mouse button and holding it down, which is awesome. So it's super easy. And all right, you click play. This is labs.dynamo.com/plink. We have the link below. But it's going to load the sounds.
Plink down.
And it's really cool because it's really live, I think, with other people. So we'll be Tech Town. Game. Play. Sync into the servers. You got your volume up.
Ooh.
So when I don't click, it's just showing this. And when I click, so here, you do that for a second.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to try and join in. All right, because this is interactive. Oh yeah, and you can change colors, change instruments. That's what that does. Oh, somebody else is in here. Somebody joined. Now you're playing with them. And they can hear what you can hear. Oh yeah, see that other person there doing that? Now I'm in. Now I'm gonna do a bass line. Oh. Oh yeah, this is too fun.
Oh,
yeah, nice
oh,
jam. Oh, we got more people. Oh yeah. Yeah. All right, big finish. Here we go. I'm going all the way up, all the way up, all the way up, and scene.
Oh, what a master crush!
Excellent.
Wow, holy smokes!
All right, so that is the music side of the week.
That
And
was,
it's awesome
good.
because you're really
I
playing
got
with
a
other
lot.
people. It's
Yeah.
live and they make
Holy
it sound pretty good
smokes.
for you.
Yeah, I love how people just jumped right into that.
Oh
That
yeah,
was great.
well they saw Tech Town and realized we were playing, so hopefully that was you guys. You joining in.
Very cool.
Nice.
Holy smokes. That was our music side of the week. Check it out. dinamo.com/.
Yeah.
Which brings us to Mr. Ellsberg's website of the week. And we'll just jump right into that. So this week we're talking about browsers. And so I just decided to, show some really cool artwork that people have made where browsers are the source of their inspiration. Battle of the browsers, artwork. Yeah, so this is some really cool artwork that people have created. And,
based on like the characters of the browser?
Yeah, so you got Firefox battling Chrome here. You got all of the battle of the browsers. You got them some styling ladies right there.
This is awesome.
Yeah, isn't this cool? Yeah, you got them throwing down on the on the display there.
What's funny is that not only are these cool art, but if you do know the history of each of those browsers, they like make sense of what's going on. Yeah,
we said that Explorer has some baggage going along with it. I mean, that's what
eating glue.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah, these are really cool.
Oh yeah,
so,
that's great.
Yeah, these are 20 awesome Battle of the Browsers artworks. You can check out the URL, which is below in the Show Me More section. Yeah, they got some funnies and stuff here. Very, 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 very cool.
Nice. Nice. Well, yeah, and I gotta say, a lot of these are all in good fun, which I think is the way to take this. Some people like hate on browsers. Don't be a hater.
Don't check them out.
Nice.
But it is funny.
It is. All right, so nice. Brings us to finally the security segment of the week. Security. All right, so for this week, obviously, web browser security. Web browsers are, since they're so important, they're also some of the most attacked things that we have in computers. People, if they can attack your web browser and get the admin permissions on your computer through the web browser, then they can do whatever they want.
Exactly.
So I just linked to a Wikipedia article on browser security. There's basically the best thing you can do is stay updated. So the good news is that Chrome and Firefox will update automatically.
Right.
So now you don't even have to click anything. It's just sometimes it'll know that it needs an update. When you restart the browser, it'll just be updated.
Right.
And sometimes it's new features, but mostly it's just they find security problems in browsers all the time. And what that means is that somebody can just, even especially from their own computer, when you visit a site, boom, that's it. Wow. Sometimes it takes that you need to click on something. Sometimes you need to download something. But even worse, even worse is when the times you don't even need to click anything. So there are even certain kinds of attacks where you just visit the web page and boom, you're done.
Wow.
So just watch out. Keep them up to date. Don't click on anything you shouldn't.
Right. As usual.
As usual.
Yeah. Watch your back. They're trying to get you.
Exactly.
All right. Well, that brings us to a close of this week's Browser Tech Town. And we got some big news.
Well, that's right.
the Tech Town after next, to 2 Tech Towns from now, we are going to be recording Tech Town live for our 50th episode of Tech Town.
Yeah, we're going to have 50 episodes coming up. And yeah, what better way to celebrate that than live? Well, we always do it live. Yeah. But we'll do it live in Portland with an audience.
With a studio audience.
Exactly.
Or a warehouse audience.
Audience. Yeah, even better. So yeah, definitely tune in for that. And if you're in the Portland area, let us know and see if you can come get tickets to our live broadcast.
Yeah, you're going to need to get in touch with us early because tickets are flying right now. They're
half gone already.
We're getting pop-ups and cookies that are telling us all sorts of things about people getting our tickets. They want to see it. They want to be there. It's the scene.
Yeah.
I mean, come and check it out. Tech Town live, warehouse, studio, audience, 50th anniversary episode. It's all coming together. We'd love to see you there. And we'll see you next week here at Tech Town.
Tech Town! Tech Town. Happy